All right, guys, the question of the day is, do I need to issue 1099 NEC, whoops, sorry, NEC to any of my independent contractors, also known as maybe outside services or subcontractors? This is a copy of the 1099 NEC that may need to be sent off to your independent contractors. So first things first is I like to look at number one, do I have a business and do I need to issue a 1099? So if we look at it, we have you right here. You have some sort of an LLC, maybe it's an S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietorship, partnership. This is your business. Do I need to issue out any of those 1099s? So what I like to do is we have you right here, and then hopefully you have your accountant or your bookkeeper. And what they're going to do for you is they're going to, now that we're at the end of the year, we're going to make sure that they're issuing W-2s, 1099s, and then also making sure that your profit and loss and your balance sheet is ready to go for tax returns. But today, right, we're going to focus on this right here, 1099s, and do I need to issue them? So first off, you definitely want to make sure you have your accountant or your bookkeeper doing this for you. It's just not worth your time to go in and try to figure out how to issue these things when they do it on a yearly basis for you. So if we start to look at a 1099, it's a pretty simple form. This is a 1099, and what you're going to do is this is just the payer information up here. So whoever's been making the payment to the independent contractor, so payer, it's going to put in their name, street address, city, town, state, zip, all that. And then you're going to put in the EIN. It's easier to do this. So taxpayer identification number or the employer identification number here for the business. And then down below this section is we have the recipient. So this is going to be the independent contractor, the subcontractor, whatever you call it. And then you're going to put their name, can be their individual name, their business name. It's all going to be dependent on how they actually filled out the W-9 form, is how you're going to put the information over here on the 1099 form. And then city, state, zip, and then right here is going to be the amount. And so if we paid someone $14,600, then we need to make sure we put that on the 1099 because it's greater than $600. So anyone that we pay greater than $600, we need to make sure we're filling out this form. Okay. So I like to draw things out. I know sometimes it's overkill when you're just like, hey, just give me the details. But we have you right here. And then over here, we have an independent contractor who did some work for you throughout the year. One of the most important things to do is when these guys provide services to your business, then you need to make a payment to these guys for their services. So before we make that payment, what we want to do is we want to send over what's called a W-9 form, have them send it back to you so that you have the information on the W-9 form to then take that data and use it to fill out the 1099 employee compensation form. And then at the end of the year, you just need to go and add up all the payments. And then you're just going to put the amount paid to that independent contractor. So we did 14,600 in the last example. So the biggest step that people skip is getting the W-9 form. And then it's hard to get that at year end because they don't want to give you that information. So they probably don't want the 1099 to show up, because what's going to happen is that 1099 you're going to send to the independent contractor, but then you're also going to send that to the IRS. So the IRS uses the 1099 to reconcile, number one, that you get the deduction on your tax return and that it's being picked up as income on the independent contractor's tax return. Okay. And another reason why this is super, super important. Well, let's talk about due dates first. So due dates for the 1099s is due January 31st, 2025. Right here, your 1099 NEC, recipient deadline, and then if you're e-filing it, deadline right there. Okay. Now, what happens if I don't issue these because I don't think it's important? I don't want to learn how to do it. Then we come down to the penalties section. And so right here for 2024, if these are late, up to 30 days late, $60 penalty. If I'm 31 to August 1st, $120 penalty. After August 1st, $310, and intentional disregard, $630. So it's hard to say, but the IRS just isn't playing around anymore. They need this information being reported to your independent contractors. The IRS is trying to make sure that they're getting all their tax monies due to them. So it's pretty simple form. Sorry, I draw messes everywhere, but super easy. What I recommend is if you're doing all your books, all your business by yourself, do it yourself, those penalties are adding up so quick and so big that you might as well just hire a professional. Get you a professional accountant, get you a professional bookkeeper. They're going to make sure that you're staying in check. Because if you look at, hey, I'm getting penalties here, so I'm not knowing that I need to file 1099s, plus they're late. I'm getting penalties over here because I'm not doing my W-2s on time. And I'm paying penalties over here because I'm not filing my taxes on time. The penalties are just adding up, adding up, adding up. And so make sure you get a professional. They're going to make sure that you do all these things timely so that you avoid any penalties that may be due. The other issue that's kind of coming into play, and I'm just going to mention it, it's just more details to come. And that is the 1099K that's starting to come out. So anytime we pay people through a credit card, the credit cards are now going to issue these 1099Ks on behalf of the taxpayer that's going to be receiving them. So it's almost going to be done for you on the credit card side. And so these are the PayPals I see, Venmo, Cash App. These all are just going to go ahead and send that 1099K on your behalf. And then it gets a little bit tricky, so that's why we're not going to go too deep into this. But what if we're using Venmos and I just send some funds over to my friend because he paid for a meal and I'm just reimbursing him, and it gets over $600 through the year. There are different limits now. Started at like 20,000 that they want to do prior years. Any amounts over that, these 1099Ks are going to be issued. That's actually being dropped, going to like $5,000, I believe, this year. Don't quote me on this. I need to do a little bit more research. But these are going to be issues that come up that, hey, Venmo, I sent some money to a friend. Now the friend has it. Those 1099Ks are going to be going that eventually on a tax return, someone might have to show, hey, this was a personal expense, not a business expense, because the IRS is getting a little bit more dialed in on these. So yeah, I think this is a great topic to cover today. Definitely make sure you're doing these correctly. Make sure you're getting them filed on time because the penalties are super big. And it also helps when you fill these out, you have the 1099s, submit them to your tax preparer so that they can see, hey, I have the form 1096, which reconciles all the 1099 forms that I sent out. Here's all the 1099s that I sent out as well. That way they can make sure they categorize it correctly in the tax return and keep you safe. So great topic. Watch for more videos. If you like these videos, show us some love. Thanks. Bye.